I had a student with me that day. She'd never been to the burn ward before, so I was big smiles and telling her how it's not really that bad. And, most of the time it isn't really that bad. We were halfway to the room, coming down the hallway. You could smell it like burnt pork rind, like barbecue. Not good barbecue, like bad barbecue, burnt hair and chemical smells and sweat and panic. And there was a lot of people in the room. I knew it was going to be bad. So I told her to stay behind. She could see us through the window. I don't know what all the doctors were doing. I'm just an x-ray tech, But they were all around his body. I don't remember who I asked or how I found out what happened to him. But it was attempted suicide by self-immolation. He doused himself in gasoline and lit himself on fire like a Buddhist monk did once to try to stop the war in Vietnam. You couldn't tell, but he was in his early 20s. I had to get the board underneath him. I didn't want to disrupt the doctors because it almost looked like they were trying to put skin on his body. I don't know where they got the skin. Some of them lifted him up on the sheet, using the sheet that he was on. We slid the board underneath, but it got tangled in the sheet, and some of it ended up making direct contact. The board in the plastic bag in direct contact with his skin. And I looked down at his head, because I had to hold his head as we did this, and his eyes were open. And his eyes were cracked, like overboiled eggs. When you boil an egg for so long that the shell cracks and the egg comes out. I can't remember if there was retina. I just remember thinking I didn't know eyes could do that. I put the board under, placed the tube head, got ready for the x-ray. He started to code. Damn it. And that's not good for me. See, if they use the paddles on him while my board's underneath him, it's gonna destroy my board, and that's several $100,000 worth of equipment. It's not a small thing, So I'm wondering, how long do I wait until I pull that board out from underneath him? I can't wait too long. I took the shot while the doctor was taking a pulse at his neck. And then I took the board immediately. I got what I needed. it's funny. I'd seen the lungs of burn victims so many times, but his were almost perfect. I think it's because he held his breath when he lit himself on fire. Makes sense. I would. So, once the doctor moved his hand, I went over right away and I got my board and I pulled it out. There wasn't a lot of time, you see, because he was still coding. And when I pulled it out, that part of the plastic that was making contact with his skin, it sort of adhered. And there was this glob of tissue, a substantial glob of tissue. And I looked at the doctors, and I looked at the tissue, and I looked at the doctors, and almost as if I expected them to take the tissue off of the off of my cassette and sew it back onto his body along with the rest of the skin that they were adhering to him. The doctor looked at me like I was stupid, and of course, I mean, at that moment I think I was. And she said, "Shake it off."